Hello, I'm Jörg Langsweidt. I live in Germany. I want to tell you a story about Starmus, about the Starmus-Festivals. One of the most unknown series of festivals, at least in Europe. I had the pleasure to visit Starmus in 2014 and 2016 at the island of Tenerife. So, what is Starmus? In first sight, it's a combination of the two words stars and music. But much more, it's a conference, a festival where astronomers, astronauts, cosmonauts, physicists, biologists, musicians, Nobel Prize laureates and many more gather together to discuss about the universe in a, from festival to festival, more and more comprehensive way. It all started in 2011 when the former Queen rock band guitarist Brian May, after becoming a doctor in astrophysics at the University of Tenerife, and his advisor Garrick Israelian had the original idea to do a concert with Jean-Michel Jarre, using Garrick Israelian's collection of acoustic stellar sound waves he previously recorded for NASA at the observatory of the island of La Palma. That didn't work out for lack of funding, so instead, in August 2011, they created the first Starmus-Festival. They put it on an island in the North Atlantic, Tenerife, and they selected a wonderful resort hotel called Palma. It's in the south of Tenerife, right next to the island of La Gomera. There were 3 Starmus events. Starmus 1 in 2011, 2 in 2014 and 3 in 2016. Starmus 4 is planned for 2017. The theme of Starmus 1 in 2011 was 50 years of man in space. Starmus 1 in 2011 focused on manned space exploration. To the surprise of many, celebrities like Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Alexei Leonov, Bill Anders, Jim Lovell, Charlie Duke, all astronauts of the 60s which landed on the moon or left their spacecraft, appeared. It was a rather small event, about 100 participants, so you could meet the celebrities at the lobby of the Palma hotel where the event took place. During the 5 days of the festival, the astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Jim Lovell, Charlie Duke, all were on the moon, of course talked about the moon landings, and they talked about beyond. The Russian cosmonaut Alexei Leonov talked about the early Soviet space exploration program and his first spacewalk. Brian May talked about what are we doing in space, and Garrick Israelian about stellar orchestra in the acoustic universe. But there were more prominent speakers. Jill Tarter talked about intelligent life in the universe. Kip Thorne talked about black holes, Richard Dawkins about exobiology and religion, and finally there was a concert with the group Tangerine Dream accompanied by Brian May. 2 years after Starmus 1, a book was published under the title 50 Years of Man in Space. It contains all the presentations of Starmus 1. 2014, Starmus 2. The theme was Beginnings, the Making of the Modern Cosmos. The event took place again in the Palma Resort Hotel as well as at the observatory at the island of La Palma. This time the audience was much bigger, between 700 and 1,000 participants. Unfortunately, Neil Armstrong passed away in 2012 But to the pleasure of many, this time Stephen Hawking announced his participation and he did 2 presentations. The scope of Starmus-2 went beyond manned spaceflight. So Stephen Hawking talked about quantum creation of the universe and quantum black holes. Brian May demonstrated space in 3D. Alexei Leonov talked about the Soviet Union and why they didn't make it to the moon. Robert Wilson discovering the cosmic microwave background. And John Mather traveling in space and time with the coming James Webb Telescope. Harold Kroto focused on carbon in nano and outer space. David Eicher, does the universe care about itself? John Ellis, Little Bangs to Big Bang. Katarina Havati talked about Neanderthals. Charlie Duke about his Apollo 16 mission to the moon and his ride with the moon rover. Walt Cunningham, exploration and chance of dangerous adventure. And there was a concert with Rick Wakeman and Brian May, the Sonic Universe concert. And at the island of La Palma, at the observatory, there was a round table talk with some of the celebrities. The highlight of Starmus-2, of course, was Stephen Hawking, who excited the participants already when he appeared.
Can you hear me? I want to talk about the universe as a hologram.
No matter Starmus-2 was bigger, you still could meet some interesting people at the hotel. So here you see me with Charlie Duke, Apollo 16 astronaut, in the lobby of the Obama Hotel in Tenerife. And for Starmus-2, another book was published called Origins of the Cosmos, which contains most of the presentations of the event. Starmus-3 was even bigger as the previous ones. It encompassed not only spaceflight and the cosmos, it also dipped deep into the microcosmos and into the social life. And with 1,200 delegates, it really was big. The theme of Starmus-3 was Tribute to Stephen Hawking, Beyond the Horizon. It was again held in Tenerife and the Canarian Island. The event location this time was in Playa de las Americas at the Pyramid event location. The speaker list this time was very long. It would go too far to list them all. Just a few highlights. They spoke about the string theory, black holes. They spoke about the Kuiper belt, Pluto and comets, and the dark universe. Interestingly, they had speakers from the social life, such as Joseph Stiglitz, who spoke about the inequality of laws and nature of man. They had Eugene Kaspersky, who talked about dark ages of cybersecurity. Robert Sawyer, a science fiction writer, talked about predicting and preventing the future, science. And they had David Sambuca, a mind reader, who explained the secret equation that explains everything. And finally, there was a big concert in the north of Tenerife with Sarah Brightman and the Tenerife Symphony Orchestra, Brian May and Hans Zimmer. Stephen Hawking appeared on stage, and Chris Hadfield and Rick Wakeman and Anathema appeared also. That was a wonderful event. So if you are interested in a more detailed descriptions about the presentations of Starmus 2 and Starmus 3, you can find it on Facebook. Just type in the search name Starmus and you will find it. So this was my brief story about the Starmus-Festivals from a perspective as a participant. Many thanks to the organizer and the founders of these great festivals, Garrick Israelian, Brian May, and the board of directors of the committee. Maybe you will be at the next Starmus Festival, which will be in Norway next year in June 2017.